Whoa. Come and seek on in it by the warm fire. If you want, you've paid it.
Welcome to the Tora Podcast.
Welcome everyone to episode 2. For anyone that hasn't seen us, this is the Tora Podcast. So
in case anyone's wondering,
what the fuck
I'm
are we
basically
doing here?
just wearing a disguise today because I've been real sick and
We're gonna have to start it again.
just,
Okay, we're recording.
I think it's better this way.
I think I don't know, Joe. You look pretty shady, man.
Yeah, I feel like a bit of a drug dealer, but that's all right.
Maybe just ditch the beanie and the glasses, and you'll look less like a drug dealer. I mean, do whatever you
Well, the
want.
beanie's keeping me warm, but it's all good.
Fair. Okay.
shit, dude.
Where's Thorne gone?
I don't know. Thorne just
I'm
kind of
back in a
bailed.
sec. I just need to tweak some shit.
What?
All right, we're recording.
All right,
still
well-
here.
So, what's been going on, guys? Where's everybody at the moment?
I'm in
Bali.
Australia. I got back.
all over the show.
I'm very much excited to be back in the motherland where it's warm and it's not. You don't have to wear a beanie inside.
You're in the studio, your new studio right now?
Yeah, I'm in the Flow Studios. I've been setting it up over the last few days as a workspace for myself and hopefully in future for other people. Basically, when I got back, I just sort of got it straight in here because I was pretty set on working on some new music. But as it is with family and everything, you kind of start seeing lots of people and you don't get that much done, but I'm doing my best and it's been nice to be back, that's for sure. It's so nice and warm here.
Has it been raining cats and dogs? Because apparently it's like El Nino or something. There's like some crazy weather cycle that's going to be hammering.
Yeah,
the East
it's not
Coast.
been raining that much though. It's been like, it's really nice. In the evenings, it's been like getting a bit cloudy and then pissing down sometimes at nighttime, like every couple of days. But it's not been really raining during the day. We did have a couple of days that was just like gale force winds. That was insane. But other than that, the weather's been pretty good. It's just not been that hot comparatively to like a normal Australian summer so far, at least. It's been pretty mild, like low mid 20s, which is very chill for Australian East Coast, I guess.
Yeah, it looks like it's been nice and actually finally not like crazy rains and stuff. Like, because our property out at Maynard, where which got slammed last time. I don't know if you remember seeing like the photos of like my driveway that were just turned into like pretty much a canyon. So we've only just fixed it like this week. It's been getting fixed.
Really?
And that was mainly because of like there was so many other properties that were in way worse condition that were getting fixed, and so everyone was like road people and dirt moving equipment and stuff was just like rented out. So it was like almost a year later, but they haven't had rain, so they've been able to fix it all. So that's sweet, man. Our driveway is looking.
That's great news.
That's perfect.
I can't use it because I'm in Berlin at the moment. But
Well, I've been hearing from Mum, like I had a call with Mum the other day, and she was saying that like pretty much everything is taking ages at the moment to do, like any sort of building, any sort of like no one wants to work, and
Also
there's
around
not
Christmas.
enough materials and
well, no, I think
but
everyone's just
for the
booked
year,
out,
like
man.
for years.
Like
It's just
so
the
many
great
people booked out.
resignation, man. So that's what's going on.
The great resignation.
Fuck, it was actually so good not working during COVID. Maybe we just keep trying to kick it.
Yeah.
No, but the
Seems
working
to be the way.
force, they're literally just like booked out. Like the guys that are doing our driveway, they're actually 2 dudes from Shearwater.
Oh, no way.
One I think was in your class, maybe Thorne or something. What's his name? Tall dude that was always in the mechanic workshop. Fuck, it's just completely gone. I've lost it. Anyway, I didn't really know him that well, but all of a sudden they just rocked up and they've just been like literally flat out every day, just like going fixing people's driveways, earth moving, just doing back to back. They're just
Good on
going
them.
crazy.
Yeah, no, pretty
Fixing the
good.
driveways one at a time.
It's just been like actually raining cats and dogs here in Bali, though. It's just well, I mean, it is the rainy season now, but it's like pretty insane.
Yeah.
And the mosquitoes. Oh, dude, I've never
Dude,
experienced.
that's the
anything like
one
this.
thing.
It is so fucked up.
Are they fast there?
That's what I've been loving about Berlin, man. There's
No,
just
but
none of that. Especially
They're not
in winter.
fast on?
See this?
Oh my
What is
god.
that, dude?
Is that an electrified tennis racket?
This is like literally, it just explodes them. And they like turn into popcorn. Now I'm I'm a
God.
pretty sort of animal rights ethical dude, but when it comes to mosquitoes, this is just
fuck
this
'em.
is so
Dude,
satisfying.
can you just
Bro, in
wave?
Spain,
just
they're like
wave that
100
and just
kilometers
catch
per
them?
hour. You can't catch
Yeah,
that.
look,
That's a
it's-
bit of a. This is a bit of a moral dilemma, though.
And
Why are
it's got a little
mosquitoes?
That's
torch and everything.
incredible.
Yeah, it
just
dude.
I mean, I
gets
feel
them
like they're
so
just
good.
past diseases. I think they do have some good purposes, but like,
So Thorne's relinquished veganism.
Oh yeah, but that happened ages ago.
bro, I've
honest.
been eating some meat. How is that? First time in 24
Oh,
years.
no way.
I've been
What,
eating a
chicken
little
or red meat?
steak. Little steak
Oh,
here.
yeah.
and there. Yeah, this
Guys
this
are
is
fucking gains,
I'm coming
man.
out.
Hey, how do you feel when you eat it? Like after, do you
To be
feel
honest,
like
I
like Liver King?
I ate a little today. I ate a little steak today at lunch, and I just couldn't help but think like, just like deflated rubber tire that's just like been sitting in the sun for such a
Dude, I
long
don't know who's
time.
been
All right.
cooking your
Yeah,
steaks.
I don't know who-
man.
No, bro, it was like I swear it was like souffle,
it's
like
definitely
proper,
not like that?
not overdone.
not-
It wasn't like
You
that
have to
stuff we
have
had in
one at that
Switzerland.
Swiss, yeah,
Yeah,
at
that was
Swiss
psycho, though.
joint. That was crazy, man.
But yeah, I mean,
you
I
tried
guess
it
it's,
there as well, didn't you?
it's been interesting. It's been nice to like not be closed off completely. I'm still like kind of not that comfortable with it, but I guess that's just a given after not eating something for 24 years and then just starting to eat it all of a
Yeah.
sudden. I'm only doing little bits here and there, but anyway,
It's
it's been
does
interesting.
it make you feel different after you eat it though? Like not the
Not
taste, but,
immediately.
like, how
Not
do you-
immediately. I've been kind of just eating it to try and get a bit more protein, I guess, in my diet,
Yeah.
and just be a
I
little.
mean,
bit
at the end
more
of the day,
experimental.
there's. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think like everyone goes through different phases in life where they try different diets. It's like a part
It
of
might
being a
not
healthy
stick.
human being.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like interesting to try new things and see how they make you feel, and then you can actually have a gauge on whether you feel better or worse with something, and like make your mind up for yourself. So I think it's important to try stuff every now and then.
Yeah, like I'd probably still be dabbling with a little bit of red meat if I didn't get that allergy. But I think like fish and chicken's pretty fine. I don't ever look at a steak or red meat and like crave it. But
Yeah.
Dude, this just made me think of that time in Germany when you got like, you ordered a chicken kebab and then they gave you like lamb and chicken kebab without your knowledge.
What is it
And
called?
then
Thorne? It's a mammalian meat allergy. A lot of people probably
Yeah.
aren't going to know what that is, but
it's an MMA. So basically, there's a kind of tick. It's called in the US, it's called a Lone Star tick, and then in Australia, it's a female paralysis tick. I think it has to be a female. But basically, if this tick like is chomping any sort of little mammal or marsupial, anything that gives birth to live young, and then drops off and then comes and bites a human, your whole like nervous system gets totally rewired. And then anytime you eat like mammalian meat, so that's like cow, pig, sheep, whatever,
anything that gives birth.
you just go into like this
non-eggs,
autoimmune anaphylaxis
Yeah.
kind of full-on situation. And what was really insane is that it took me about 1.5 years to figure this out, because I was at Sean's mom's friend's place or something. We're in Switzerland.
Yeah, we
and
just
Lausanne.
had like a Christmas
Oh.
lunch or something like that with my family. Oh no, it was in summer, so we had some sort of like
Yeah, so we went swimming in the
Lunch.
lake though, and there was like all these ducks
Yeah.
and swans and everything. It was like the most picturesque scene. I'm just like loving it, swimming around, and then we go and we have dinner, and then I'm eating some cold meats or whatever, and then on the walk home, I'm like, I'm not feeling so good. And then by the time we get back to the house, everyone like falls asleep. We smoke a doobie or something, and then
I
I
think
wake
we
up like
smoked a
an hour
doobie on the
later.
way through Lausanne.
would've
We
been real
smoked a doobie on the
paranoid
way
or
through the city. And by
getting
the
real
time we got
itchy.
home, Thorne was just losing his shit. And I was like, man, maybe he's just real baked. But then you just saw his body and it's just covered in hives.
Oh,
I
it's so
was like,
fucked
oh,
up.
fuck. There's
And I
actually
had no
something
idea
really
what was
wrong with
happening.
him. It's
And
duck
so-
lice for
yeah,
sure.
I thought it was duck lice, right? So I'm like Googling it. You know when you're freaking out and you're trying to like self-diagnose, and you're just Google's just throwing all these things, and I'm like, oh, duck lice. This makes so much sense. There are all these birds swimming around in this lake. So I'm just dousing myself in tea tree oil.
Oh, that would have made it worse as well.
That was so bad.
It was like 25 degrees or something at night time as well. It was so hot. Thorne was just sleeping on this little bed on the fucking floor in the living room, just scratching himself to death.
Joe,
But then
where,
thankfully,
where are
actually,
you? Sorry.
where, who?
I was just asking where Joe
Thorne.
is.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
I'm in London.
Okay.
at Tom's.
Yeah, Tom's place.
I would show you the gear, but it's on the other side of the
Same.
laptop. But basically, I'm in a studio.
I kind of wish I could flip it around so everyone could see the cute studio. Well, it's a nice spot, but yeah.
Yeah.
You just need to get a little like webcam thing.
Well,
and
they
then
can
you
just go to Flow
stream.
Studios Instagram and see it. I'm sure.
Yeah,
right?
it's not a thing
Have
yet.
you guys
but
put
eventually.
content of it up yet?
Not yet. One day, soon.
Yeah.
You were still kind of setting it up, right? Getting the
Yeah, I
sort
still
of
haven't
layout.
done that much like calibration or anything. We still got to put in some like curtains over there. But we've been getting a bunch of nice rugs and making it all sound good in here. But I got these new
cozy.
Atom monitors, which Adam just put out.
It's the next generation ones, right?
Yeah,
They
it's basically
brought out
the
whole
ones
next generation.
Like they brought out the next generations from the ones we have in Switzerland, and they've got a bunch of cool features. I mean, these are 3-way monitors, so they've got mids, tweeters, and a bass. So it's like 3.
Yeah.
Are they front ported or back?
No, yeah, they have a front port. Yeah, they have a front
Oh,
port, and yeah, they just have a great feature where you can basically store like calibration on them. So like you can do a microphone calibration throughout your room with SonarWorks or something, and then you can store that data within the speaker and not have to run the actual program that.
Yeah, because normally you have
adjust
to run
EQ
either
time.
like a plug-in or a program alongside your DAW that stores the calibration. But it's amazing how they give you the calibration like snapshots that you actually load into the speaker. That way you don't have to like constantly be
so
running
tech.
it. You can just have the speaker
It's
that's
sick.
tuned for the
I think
room.
Adam's the first people who have done that actually as well. I don't think
Yeah,
there's any
'cause
other
I
speaker
think-
company that have done it yet.
Have you
Yeah, I don't know
AB'd
about
it?
I'm gonna
speaker
have to
companies.
get
I think
a pair.
there's sound cards that have it, like that have like calibration you can store it in, but then you have to match them to the speakers, so it doesn't really make that much sense. Makes more sense having it in the actual speaker itself.
What were you going to ask?
Have you like AB'd what it sounds like with and without the calibration in the same room?
I haven't done the calibration yet because basically what happens is once you can do multiple calibrations obviously, but if you're going to change the room significantly, like after a calibration, you have to recalibrate. So
Yeah, of
I'm going to
course.
wait until I put curtains across this glass section over here, so that when I calibrate, it's like going to be the final kind of setup of the room. We just got a bunch of more coppers as well.
How many calibrations can you save? Is it like
I think-
unlimited? Or is
I
it
don't
like
actually know
what's
for
the bank
sure.
size?
I think the speaker can only store one, but I think within SonarWorks you can have a couple ready. But the speaker, I think, can only store one at a time. We're just giving Adam a massive shout out.
Yeah, sponsor us, Adam.
Endorse
To our two
us.
fans.
Yeah,
let's
send us
go.
some speakers, boys and girls.
I mean, come on,
There's-
we've
there's
got
some
so
of-
many of their different models. Like Jai and I bought some of those entry level fellas as well. What are those? The
Yeah.
A7, T7V? I think it's
yeah,
the
I don't
T
know,
series.
some-
We have the
Yeah,
T series.
I think there was
right?
the T series, which was the entry,
Yeah.
and then
These-
we had the A7Xs, which is the ones that we have
Speaking
at
of-
Darley's, and then your one is, I don't know, whatever the new generation ones are. But they look
A8H.
sexy, man.
I guess
Added,
as
the
a
added like
segue.
mid-range tweeter thing on them is like
yeah, the mid range
so
is
nice.
It's really nice. You get this punch on the mid range that you
Yeah.
don't really get otherwise, I find. Anyway,
As a segue, I wonder if we talk a bit about the plans for May and June and kind of bring people in on what we're planning.
Absolutely.
I was thinking, actually, what do you guys want ideally for... like, do we want to just bring our atoms to wherever we're going to play, wherever we're going to record, or do we want multiple sets of speakers this time to reference as we go? Like,
well, as
ultimately,
as
I mean, well,
context
just-
for the listeners,
set
I
the
guess.
scene.
yeah,
first.
maybe
Yeah.
let's start. We'll start
So-
from the start.
So as context, basically we are hoping to write a new record in the new year, come May and through June and through the summer. We're looking at different places to write it. We want to write it somewhere unique, somewhere beautiful, somewhere where we can feel inspired when we wake up and sort of just have the writing process and the living experience intermingled in an interesting way, whilst still managing to stay productive if it's possible. And we're talking about Tokyo or somewhere in rural Japan, or we've been talking about Portugal or southern Spain or some coastlines. There's a lot of options, but basically we're exploring that now. So we're looking for interesting spots. If anyone has suggestions, hit us up. But basically, yeah, we're going to bring a bunch of gear of our own to this spot, wherever it is, if it's possible. And we're going to set it up in a living room of the house we rent and kind of write like that, because that's the best way for us to write creatively. And I think down the line, obviously, we take it to professional studios and everything to do the final stages. But I think in the creative stages, it's nice to be in a space where you have just... you feel relaxed. You don't feel like there's too much pressure on, like, you know, you're paying this much per day in the studio and you got to punch it out now.
No, I think the studio is great for like the mix down and mastering, editing and stuff. But if anyone's got some nice, crispy, fat cribs that no one's using, let your boys know.
Because I mean, the other thing to consider as well is there are some people that do have cribs that are sort of kitted out as studios as well. So I think depending on the setup, we would bring the speakers or not. I don't know. We can kind of keep it pretty flow. Wow, there's such a big difference between that and that.
Yeah, I guess
like
ultimately
sweet.
We're just manifesting.
Like, I would definitely just have ours. Ours are like would be the main ones, and then, you know, we could get some like Yamahas or something just to have a reference. You know, to have a bit more of like a little bit more trashy sounding, more sort of like low grade sounding, which is kind of nice.
Exactly. So I think, at this stage, like all of our gear is in Europe. So being in Europe somewhere would be awesome, but we're also not opposed to going to somewhere like Japan, as Jai mentioned. Somewhere we haven't been.
Or really anywhere.
Unique vibes. I mean, not necessarily anywhere, but I think like anywhere where the vibes are high. I don't think we want to go like into winter.
Nicaragua, dude, we're coming.
Ultimately, for me, I think the aim would be to be somewhere where none of us have spent much time or had much experience, so that we can all go into that vibe together. And I was thinking more about it. How can we become more unified in the process together? And I thought it could be cool for us to actually have like daily activities that we do together every day. And even we could try at some point as an experiment, perhaps, to choose to only be on the same in the same mental states on certain days. So like one day everybody drinks coffee. One day everybody's sober. One day we all have a little bit of that would be interesting
experiment.
Yeah, one day, like, so we can go and just like be totally on the same wavelength and get into this kind of like unit. So we're thinking like as a unit, and we're like,
because otherwise it's like one person's
problems
drinking, one person's smoking weed, one person's drinking like 5 coffees, and the other person's just upstairs in the Eagle's Nest.
Can I just say that based on some people's sensitivities towards certain things, there can also be like a day that follows the day that is like washed out. Because if I was like smashing as many espressos as Jai smashed, I wouldn't even sleep that night. It would be like an all fucking night bender. I'd be waking up the next day just fucked.
We could do this like for the sake of science. It could also document it, like us doing this and having a documentary maker there, like filming the process and like documenting it. Like this could be a scientific experiment to see how even like a social scientist could actually observe how it affects our creative process. And like, I don't know, it could be something quite interesting to bring into the process.
Lab, I reckon. Let's get Andrew Huberman to come in.
Man, we're dropping these.
On that note as well, if you're like a videographer or a photographer and you would be down to come and hang out and do some like documenting, also definitely reach out to us.
Or if you know anyone,
other people, like put people
let
forward.
them know.
Like we're pretty happy to
This will be May, June
of next year, exactly. Yeah. So any vibes, any tips, any creatives that you know that would be interested in what we're doing, then definitely get in touch with us. Because we're also, I mean, this is even the genesis of this podcast in general. It's just like we want to start bringing all of you guys into our zone a little bit more and kind of like also give back. So
the segues essentially.
The segue.
Well, now we're segueing into like where this podcast, I guess, is going.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk about like the sort of like opening it up to other creatives and other musicians, and then into this sort of Tora
Academy.
Yes, but even just like I guess.
I mean, ultimately, what we want to do is use this platform that we have built over time to Tora, like the whole thing. Use it as an opportunity to reach people whether they're creatives or business-minded people, to basically we want to become like a knowledge base or provide a knowledge base and act as a resource for like up-and-coming artists and entrepreneurs to help them navigate the music industry and basically provide a platform where people can reach us and a community with questions about the music industry, questions about creation. We want to create a space where people can submit their demos to the community, and we will pick out some and actually like analyze them on the podcast and provide A&R feedback for creatives. Like we want to help you make your songs, basically.
It's actually cool because I guess when you have, I guess between us, me less so than you and Sean, and but between us, what, almost 50 years of cumulative experience in the field. I guess there's just so many experiences that you kind of build up this knowledge base, and I think giving that back in a way is going to be a really interesting journey, and so we're going to be exploring that down the line, hopefully sooner than later. But come the new year, we'll be looking into building something out and bringing you guys into something like that as soon as possible.
Yeah, so anyone who's interested in being involved in that community and that subscriber base, we're going to provide a link that you guys can sign up for, like your submit your interest. Some of this will happen on the podcast, but a lot of it's actually going to happen on private live streams, which will be accessible by the subscribers. So we'll drop a link in the podcast.
Drop a link in the chat.
Yeah,
description.
I think the subscriber stuff, there'll be just more in depth and maybe more like sort of interacting, whereas I guess with the podcast, we'll still do like sort of some like tips and also like A&R stuff. So like if you send in tracks of yours, we'll listen to it and do like reactions and feedback and etc. And
I mean, also just like, don't be afraid to drop us questions and things you'd like us to discuss, like on an ongoing basis as well.
Yeah.
Because I think this is, like, as we mentioned initially, it's going to be pretty free form. But as Joe was saying, we're going to kind of probably try and build out this more sort of supportive environment where we can actually help other musicians. Because we did that poll the other week, or it was probably even a month ago now. But we were actually pretty surprised at how many of you are interested in kind of learning about sort of creative hacks, but then also sort of music industry stuff as well. And I heard a quote recently that we are best positioned to serve the people we once were. And I mean, going back to what Jai was saying, like we have so much cumulative experience that I think some of us, or at least myself specifically, I kind of forget how much we do know and how much stuff we have gone through and experienced, and like how valuable that actually can be to people who are starting out, and even people that also have been going as well, because sometimes even when I'm talking to experienced musicians, I can like share with them a new plugin or some kind of like production hack, and they'll be like, oh cool, I never actually saw that thing happen that way. And I think it's just like a constant sort of back and forth. So yeah, it'd be really cool to kind of foster that with everyone.
Yeah, I also feel like there's not that much out there currently. I mean, there's definitely some music business discussions and podcasts that exist where people talk about how to like best serve the industry and best sort of format releases for DSPs and that kind of thing. But I think that the community can build around these kinds of topics more. And I think it'll be just interesting to see if other people kind of come in and sort of start doing similar things, and we can kind of create more knowledge around what is an industry that is very difficult to navigate for many like people who are young to this industry. Even for us, like as people have been in it for a while.
Oh my Lord.
We don't know.
Maybe we can even touch on this briefly, but it's just like the amount of without like, we don't have to bag anyone.
I don't know
out,
if we have to fully unpack it.
We don't have to unpack it, but just to sort of like scrape the tip of the iceberg. It's like even us, we've been in this band now for nearly 10 years, and there's still things that we're only just discovering about how royalties actually move and what you need to sign up for, and just like, and it is relatively simple, but when you start out, like no one is there, or at least a lot of people are not there to kind of like guide you through this.
And
they're
that's what
either
we
there
want
to
to
kind
be.
of milk you, or they're there to allow you to just try and sort it out. And it's just kind of insane, because if someone made like this really condensed little manual of like, go sign up and do this, and this is what this royalty is, and this is where this gets collected, and this is what you can do. Like if you start that earlier rather than later, you can actually have the foundation like properly laid, so that as you do start to get more success and more streams and whatever, like you're actually, everything's flowing nicely.
Supported by
The biggest thing is protecting people
agencies.
from the industry leeches. Like there's so many points in people's careers that I've been close to, many people who I've known throughout the entire 15 to 20 years of our careers, my career. Countless times there's people who've signed agreements that they didn't understand and that they later regretted. And we just want to be there to basically help people get a grasp of the industry before they make any big decisions that will affect them over the long term. And we just want to be able to help people understand what is actually going on in this industry and how broad it is, and how much help you need, but also like what to look out for. So ultimately, it's just about it's coming from a place of experience and wanting to help people like avoid making the fatal mistakes that many people we know have made, and also the mistakes that we have made. Like
there's heaps of shit that we've learnt the hard way and still are learning the hard way.
Always.
Exactly. And I mean, in a way, like at this stage, you kind of almost can't hate the players. You sort of have to hate the game, because
well, you don't even have to hate the game. You just have to. You just got to rewrite the rules.
No, but this is the thing, because this is where shit's complicated. Is it's like, even if you understand all the rules, the music industry has got to be one of the most fragmented industries in the world at the moment, and it's so legacy. Like we're only now collecting royalties for songs that were streamed like 2 years ago, sometimes even 3 years ago. And the fact that it takes that long and has to go through so many different agencies.
Yeah, I thought the modeling industry was bad.
Insanity. It's just like, it's actually insane when you think about it. Like the whole world is digitized so much, and yet these kinds of things are still taking this long to happen. And so I think
but the music industry was one of the last ones to digitize. That's why it took so slow. So it's catching up. That's why we've only just got things like the MLC that only opened up like 2 years ago. Sound Exchange, which is also super fresh. Like all these infrastructures were not actually set up prior to like streaming, and so like it was like they advanced super quick into the streaming industry, but then the back end, like all the agencies, didn't actually have the infrastructure to keep up with the volume of like plays and new artists.
How to track all
now
of that.
there's probably more tracks and musicians and artists releasing on a day-to-day basis than there was, in the 50s, 60s, 70s,
30,000
80s.
tracks get uploaded to Spotify every day, and that was like a year ago. That I heard that stat.
Did you see the report from Sound Exchange last year collected $9 billion worth of royalties?
Did you guys hear that Spotify is finally
pretty next level,
starting to turn a profit? Like this is their first quarter, I think, or maybe it was I think this is their first quarter that they finally managed to turn a profit, and the profits look good as well. And so I think as things start to shape up in the streaming industries with profits and stuff, hopefully like things become a little bit more lucrative, or not even lucrative, just a little bit more manageable for artists who are doing streaming. Because like even us who get good streaming numbers, it's like it doesn't, it's not like if you've got like a few thousand streams a month, you can't live off that, that's for sure. So and I don't think that's going to change, but I think it will get better as time goes on, and I think there'll be ways to learn how to build that listenership up and more transparent information around it.
I mean, I'm super optimistic. I'm really optimistic about the recording industry in particular, because we're seeing over the last years, I believe it was an average of 13% growth year over year, and if you compound that over the next 10 years, that's like significant. That's like almost going to triple in revenue, which is basically going into the streaming services, because there's more people joining subscription-based music.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
just to actually, like, I've just looked this up now, just so I don't get the numbers wrong. But at the moment, as of like August 2022, there's only 433 million users on Spotify, and of those, there's only 188 million that are actually paying.
That's
Really?
growing fast.
Yeah,
That's
so this is
growing
like
fast.
such a small percentage of like the actual global population and listenership as well.
I remember it was at like
growing
100
fast,
million,
for sure.
maybe like 4 years ago. It was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
80. That's huge growth.
It is huge.
Wow.
And I think this is actually interesting because I was listening to a podcast with Balaji Srinivasan recently, and he was talking about how India, like everyone's about to come online. And so this is like a huge portion of the global population as well that are now going to start like actually using services like this as well and kind of plugging in a bit more. I think China is still a massive question mark.
Well,
We've
actually,
got-
I did a
we've
bit
got,
of
like-
research on this. I mean,
yeah.
so Tencent is the kind of umbrella conglomerate that I believe owns a lot of the streaming services in China. And I think a lot of the distributors in the Western world work with companies that are the DSPs, the digital streaming platforms in China.
Right,
And so
okay.
that money, I believe, should get to Western artists eventually. I don't know how long it's going to take, but from my understanding,
Yeah.
it's a little bit weird, but it seems like Tencent basically monopolizes the market in China. And it seems
Yeah,
like
for sure.
they have stuff like Q Music and a few other ones that are like really big. We're talking like hundreds of millions of users. And, you know, we get streams on that. We get like proper streams, and I'm sure a lot of artists do, but I don't think many artists really understand the market because it's sort of an isolated market that we have never really learnt about. And it's something that would be interesting to have more transparency around as well, just because it's a little grey.
Do you mean like Believe or the Orchard or whatever would have a deal with Tencent that would be doing?
Yeah,
that would
so
be
this
sort
is
of like
this is
liaising
how.
between them.
So my understanding is that TuneCore, who was acquired by Believe, which is the distributor we work with, I know for sure that they were working with Q Music and Tencent. And so I believe that a lot of the main distributors are going to be having that same situation where they're basically getting paid by the Tencent streaming company. So I think most artists who are with distributors will be getting money from that market, but it's a bit of a question mark how much. I couldn't really glean much.
It'd be
data
super
on it.
interesting to see like some sort of report or something to see.
I've never
like,
seen a
if
report.
that's whether that's like a blanket licensing agreement that they have with Believe, where they're like, oh, we'll give you like X amount of cash for like your catalog or for like portions of your catalog, or whether they actually pay out on like a play basis, or whether it's more just like a blanket agreement and then they distribute that.
I think
like
it's
those royalties
still a
between
play.
those artists, or if it's actually on a play.
I think it's a play
basis.
basis. I'm pretty sure it is, but I could be wrong.
Or if it's like major versus indie, etc.
Yeah, because that's one other thing. I don't know if this is like good to talk about, but I don't think that many people know that major
There's
labels.
non-disclosure agreements between Spotify and specific labels, and they're not allowed to disclose what the rates that they're paying those labels.
Yeah, so major
And
labels
so-
essentially are getting a hell of a lot more than independent artists per artist.
And there's no
per stream.
transparency around this.
And we don't know how much more. But we know it's
Yeah,
more.
but some people,
We know it's a lot.
I have read things online. I don't know if they're true. Don't sue me. But from what I've heard, there's like cases of people
That's why
getting
it's very
paid up to 6 times more streams. 6 times more money per stream.
Plus they're getting like hundreds times more streams because they're getting like pushed into the algorithm by Spotify. Probably strong arms by major labels potentially as well.
There's a lot of backroom deals. I mean, someone who's famously been absolutely cancelled for like challenging it is Kanye West. Obviously, he did a whole bunch of other shit that like was
Questionable.
like pretty questionable. But for years, he's kind of been going up against this and trying to call out the contracts. And
But what's
I
he
think
like?
that
He's biting the
there
hand
needs to
that
be more
feeds him. Like,
transparency.
he is a major label artist, so he would be getting those mega.
Yeah,
records.
but he
is,
wants
but I
to cut
think-
up his deal. I think he bought back his rights. Actually, I'm not sure, but he's trying to expose how corrupt the contracts are. But ultimately, like, it is an issue. It is something that should be discussed more, because I think that if Spotify had more public pressure, and more, if people were talking about this more, then Spotify would be almost forced to do the right thing, which would be to pay everyone equally, based on, like, regardless of whether you're a major label artist or an independent artist.
Well, back to the original
that's something
point,
that would be
I
cool.
think the flexibility will come potentially in the future as they start to be profitable. Because right now they're not. Well, they're just starting to turn a profit. But as they become more profitable, they might have the flexibility to succumb to some of these public pressures that we're talking about.
Yeah.
But they've just got the model wrong, because like if you listen to one artist and you pay your like $12 a month, like the money should be going to that one artist that you listen to. Like you are trying to support that artist. You're not like, you shouldn't be paying for like Kanye West and like
Give
Jay-Z
some
or
context
whoever,
on
like,
that though,
getting
because I
hella
don't think
streams.
most people understand how that model. I mean,
Okay.
we're digging a lot into Spotify, but basically,
but I think
it's cool.
the reason why they chose that model at the beginning and why they got strung on by the majors is because they needed the money from those
the
big
catalog.
selling ticket artists.
And the
they needed that catalog to develop and
Start
to
their
like
platform.
financially support them. And like you were saying, as they become more sustainable, they probably will rely less on these big ticket names. Like,
I think
they'll
they'll-
always need them.
I think
but
that's their
they'll-
game
they'll
plan.
need it a
no?
little bit less.
Like, I
Yeah,
think their
the
long
longevity.
plan is like, okay, like we needed this. We needed the big
Yeah.
artists to be on board for us to get a following and have people on our platform and recruit users. And then
Yeah, the problem
we needed
isn't
all of that
Spotify.
to get to the point of profitability. And then eventually, once we're at profitability, maybe we can start, leveling
No
up.
way.
Honestly,
They're a
no,
public
I
company. They're a public
think-
company.
I
They have
don't
like
think-
fealty to shareholder interest. Like, there's no way they just start being the good guys when they get
No,
super
but I
profitable.
don't think that
Maybe.
Spotify's the issue. I think that it's the monopolization of the music industry that's the issue. And
sure.
what we're seeing is the breakdown of that as we empower more independent artists. You see what companies like Believe have done, where they've gone and they've invested in a bunch of indie artists, let them run with their creative vision, given them the opportunity to match up with
killing it.
resources to the majors, and then suddenly you have all these artists who realize their worth and they're not getting hoodwinked as much. So we've seen a shift in the industry over the last 5 years already. It's very positive. That's that's kind of the breakup of the monopoly. But
Yeah,
we've
for
also
sure.
got to keep an eye on the new guys on the block who are buying up all the catalog and make sure that they don't become monopolistic as well. So
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's just the inherent human nature is to stem towards, like, or lead towards that if you can.
So
Maybe,
if I can segue,
Yeah,
I'm
please.
sure you guys have been like looking pretty closely at what's been happening in the AI space, but like fucking hell. There's also 5 dogs here. Disclaimer.
Thorne's kids are getting hungry.
So bad. But yeah, I was in Budapest the other week for a Polkadot conference, and then I met this guy he's working with a different crypto project. And what he reckons he's going to do is he's going to like turn himself, he's going to make an AI version of himself, right? And so the way he's going to do this is he's going to like take the model, but like untrained, so no info in there. And then he's going to start feeding it all of his blog articles, like all of the podcasts he's done, whatever. And then he's going to do it with one of his co-founders as well. And they're going to start this like endless conversation between these two people. And they can like ideate ideas. They can do all sorts of stuff because they've got these two AIs, which are like digital representations of themselves, just like going, just going on. I think like there's going to be a lot of info that needs to get put into these models to actually make them compelling. But yeah, he really is like pretty confident that this can actually happen. I'm thinking I'm probably going to try and do the same and just get one of these models and just start feeding it every single little bit of info
Have
and
you
make
guys
it biased. I'll give it my morals. I'll give it like my values and everything. I'll put books
I
in there
love
that I
this.
like, whatever.
This segues, well, not segues, but man, I don't know how I've never seen this. I think you told me about this movie. It's, Chappie, the South African.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah.
Dude,
No, but isn't that
it's
called like
literally-
District 9 or something?
No, there's
No,
another one
District
called
9's one
Chappie.
with the aliens, and the one with Chappie is like, dude, it's got
It's
Yolandi
so
and
sad though.
Ninja
Oh
in it.
man,
Yeah,
yeah.
Dude, it's so freaking funny. But anyway, the point is that he puts this AI in the little robot thing, and essentially it's learning, and he gives it. I don't know if he actually gives it morals. So it's less so much like impregnating his consciousness onto a machine. It's more just like giving the machine this like learning capability. But it's so interesting to watch the sort of.
But bro, think about the consequences of this, right? Because then what happens is if you've got an AI version of yourself, someone like Elon Musk or like some big figure can do this, and they can like create a subscription service and like rent themselves out to other companies. Because if you can make it like enough of a compelling model, you can be like, cool, I'm going to rent like the Elon Musk business advisor model for 30 grand a month or whatever, and I can ask it questions, and it's going to be advising me based on everything that he knows, everything he does, and like whatever's going on. And then I guess this is aligning with the whole sort of metaverse concept as well, because then you can have like infinite iterations of yourself just running around in digital spaces, like doing whatever it needs to do. Yeah. But we do kind of get to a point where you can actually like create a compelling clone, and then you can actually resurrect Jesus. Think about this. Actually think about this, right? Because there's nothing to say that the second coming of Jesus isn't actually digital.
Oh man!
Think about it. It could actually be a thing. And if this actually happens, and you've got like Jesus running around,
so do you mean you give the AI like Jesus?
You feed it the Bible, you feed it like everything, and it basically you can have like an AI
as
Jesus,
close to Jesus as possible.
It can be pretty close, and it's just like, okay, so once we're starting to blur the lines between like what's real and not real, and we've got chips in our brains with Neuralink or whatever's going to happen.
Dude, that's actually really close as well. Aren't they doing that in like a week or two? That Neuralink's about to put their first implant for like hearing or something like that.
But I'm so scared. I listened to this podcast today with Whitney Webb and James Corbett. Yeah. Oh man, it's like so not okay. Like apparently 8 out of the 15 monkeys that they were using all died when they were trying to do this. So it's like super, super bad. And now they're like trying to get ready to do it on humans. Like it's.
Have you guys used ChatGPT yet?
I've been hammering it so hard.
Absolutely.
Have you guys used Midjourney a bunch? I know you have, Thorne, or Midjourney or the AI art programs. Mm-hmm. That's a bit scary as well because, I mean, as an artist, you have to. I mean, as a musical artist and a visual artist, I have to sort of ask myself like, how long am I gonna have relevance for in these fields, and do I start like transitioning out? But at the same time, when it's like, I think
popcorn mosquito, right?
I'd be a bit more worried if it wasn't. I'm kind of more worried about academic subjects for like, rather than creative subjects.
I'm so glad you just brought that up.
Because
I've literally got a tweet here about that, actually.
Because I think for me, I think like Midjourney and these AI art programs are fantastic tools to basically build a mood board for your next project, for example. And I think that's how it should be used, because every time you create something with Midjourney, it's not quite there. It's not quite right. And it's very rare that you get a piece of art that is like, okay, this is makes sense, and the colors are correct, and the lighting works, and like people are going to like it. But it's a fantastic way to come up with ideas that are inspiring to you and be like, okay, like I can work with sort of this as a basis of inspiration to then sort of build into my own work. And I think that's a great tool. But I think using that as a way to make art is just like a bad idea, because you're just going to end up with this magnificent amount of saturation and we would just end up with
I've got something to say on this point, because I brought up the exact same question with this guy that I work with, right? And this was his response, because I was like, yo, if we've got ChatGPT, everyone is just now going to be making so much content. They're going to be writing books. They're going to be making blog articles. They're going to be doing all of this stuff, and it's just going to like totally take over the world. And he's like, no, actually, I don't think so. Because if you look at something like TikTok or Instagram, you could also have a lot of people going crazy and making like heaps of content to grow personal brands and to do whatever. It's like super easy to do this stuff, but people are lazy and people don't do it. And then there's also like another aspect to that, which is that it comes down to our unique perspective of the world and how we assemble information that kind of makes something special. Because if you go into ChatGPT and you say, like, write me a 2,000 word essay about the dawn of cryptocurrency or whatever. It's going to give you like a pretty generic thing, but it comes down to like your approach to sort of guide it in a way that makes it compelling or unique or gives some sort of perspective on what's going on.
Yeah.
And
Same
people
with
are going to
the art
have
point, yeah.
exactly same with the art, and people are going to have very, very strong filters which are going to develop super quickly now to just see, yo, this is like a super generic piece of content. Like there's nothing valuable that I'm getting from this at all.
Okay,
Yeah.
but then you need to imagine just a bit more evolution to that AI.
Yeah, sure.
Because
sure.
it
Yeah,
will
the
now
next step.
take the data of how people respond to its answers and feed that back into the next iteration. So
it's
like
going to just be learning.
it's going to
so
use
fucking quick.
it's
just
yeah,
gonna-
it's learning from us using it, and then it'll figure out
Yeah.
how to be even better than us at.
But maybe so. But then there's still going to be like a human element which is going to need to exist in some things as well, because it's like going back to the video creation on TikTok or whatever. It's like it is easy to hold up a camera and like make a piece of content. You can literally just mimic what you see other people do. But most people are just super lazy. They're just not going to do it. And I think the same thing is going to ring true even though these AI tools are here. Because if someone's like, hey, I can't write this 2,000 word essay, but like, why would I do that? What am I going to do with that? They're just...
Well, they actually
they probably
can't
won't.
right now, just straight from it, because they've already developed like a AI tool that you put, like you copy and paste the text into it, and it scans it and tells you whether it's like fake
Yeah.
or.
And I've heard
human-made.
Google's been doing this now, and it like
Google's
doesn't
already using it
index.
now.
Is that to
because-
protect
info
essays
ChatG-
for like schools and stuff? Like you can use
Yeah.
ChatGPT for like research purposes, but you can't actually use the essay. Like they can find ways to tell if it's AI
Well, there's
written.
OpenAI,
saying?
the same company, has made like an AI checker.
Oh my
The
god!
same company that made ChatGPT
Fact checking their own AI.
also makes AI checking software.
Plagiarize.
But
It's basically like stopping plagiarism.
yeah, but it's just for like uni work, because technically you're allowed to make a book. Like you have artistic copyright is yours. Whoever makes it, they don't own the copyright. So the guy's already literally made a children's book using the chat AI and then using it to make visual prompts and then putting it into like DALL-E or something like that, and it creating like the illustrations for it. And he literally has made a physical book, distributed everything.
Exactly. So this goes back to
It's
something
only
that
like a children's book, so it's like this big. It's like tiny.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
But,
if
still, pretty
it's
cool.
not too different to arcade. Like arcade is almost AI. It's not quite, but like the fact that you can just set, and same with Splice Bridge, like the fact that you can just set the key and the tempo,
Yeah.
and then basically you have a rack of samples that are going to be in time and in key, and you just
I've
play
never actually
along to
used
whatever
it.
you.
I mean, I've used
Man,
Splice
it's
a little
it's
bit. but
insane.
I've never
It's
used it.
insane. Like
arcade's pretty next level for like
It's
creation.
So for context, for
good
people
for,
who
like-
don't know, it's basically
Yeah.
like a database of sounds and samples that you can filter by using,
you talking
specific
about
filters.
Splice?
Splice and arcade. Is arcade the same? Is it-
Well,
Arcade's like a
more like
playable
an effects
thing.
It's more like a plug. It is a
kinda
VST,
like an instrument.
but yeah, it's more like an instrument, because within like you get the samples, but like you set the key, you set the tempo, and you can actually like it has like effects rack in there and like a bunch of stuff that you can do with like the samples once they're already in arcade, and like all the samples are already like pre-made packs by like other like sound designers and stuff.
That's crazy.
And so it's
Yeah.
like, it's wild how quickly
You could
can
literally
just,
make like a track in a day, and the more you do it, the more you find ways to like
But guys,
hide that it's made in that.
let's just appreciate as well that it's kind of the same thing as a piano, right? There's only so many
It
notes
is.
on a piano, and based on like the way you play them and like
taste.
the rhythm and everything, it is going to create
Yeah.
something unique. So like arcade is the
think
same.
Jai's
It's just
computer just
simplified
died.
these.
What?
Wait, whose computer just died?
Oh no,
I'm here.
your screen went black.
I did it.
But yeah, I think that
me,
like
yeah.
ultimately all of this technology is just going to mean that the shit that people don't like to do, they need to do less of, and people will be more empowered to like do what they love. Because if you go and create a children's book with AI, the process of doing that probably isn't hugely enjoyable. It's not the same as like actually getting creative and coming up with some cool story
definitely
for your
not.
son.
Do you
or
think
your
that
daughter.
humans
That's
humans
like-
will find ways to like to realize and like identify kind of those differences over time? Will like evolve to like identify what's like AI created and what's human created, or do you
Well,
think that difference will be so like small.
I think
and
it'll be hard at some
impossible
point very soon.
Yeah.
I think that for our next record, we should take the approach that we did for Take a Rest, where we try to sample like almost everything.
Yeah.
And like whether
Yeah.
it's not necessarily all of like the kicks and the snares and the like, we can layer those up, whatever. But like,
No, it's more just getting the ambient, like natural.
even
sounds.
making our synths out of like by sampling stuff in our environment
Yeah.
and running it into like an NXT and like I don't know what we did with flies and cactuses and shit. Like,
Except this time, can we please make like a hella sample pack that we can actually give to people as well afterwards as well? Because that would be like a
Subscribe to our
super cool
academy.
piece of merch. Yeah, exactly. Very, very cool. And then it's just like all these little unique sounds, which like basically people can reuse as part of the actual record as well. And I'd also love to open source the stems for remixes and for people.
well,
to kind
this
of get
is
involved
this is
to
what I was
pull everything
thinking.
to pieces.
I was thinking is that can be something for our subscribers. Is
For
we'll
sure,
give
for
them
sure.
access to all of our stems, and they can basically go ham with it. And yeah, ultimately, this creative community that we're going to be building up is like it's there to create, to create creation, to inspire creation. Like we want to create a space where creatives are able to share ideas with each other, with us. We can give feedback. We can all help each other get better. We can say like, oh, that needs more space, or oh, this needs to lift more, whatever. Like, get in a space where we're having like an open discussion and not. It's a vulnerable space where you need to be open to criticism so that you can improve, and all of us need to be like together and.
Exactly, but it comes down to the joy of creation. I think this is going to be the whole thing that just drives humanity forward. It's like, yes, anyone can actually now create compelling stuff, but then what's the point? The point is to enjoy the process of being creative. And I think this is
And
something
to
that
mean
is going to
something.
always stay around. And to mean something, because it's self-expression, it's therapy, it's like all of these things.
I think
And,
also one thing that will become more common is like people will be able to tell just by the way you present and talk about your work. And, you know, if you're an artist and you do like, you know, an exhibition in a gallery and they chat to you, a lot of people pick up very quick if you're not the like the actual creator of that work. And it was kind of
if you just
AI
plugged in a
generated.
couple of words on like an
They'll be
AI
like, well,
thing,
hang
and
on, you know nothing about art history and you don't know about color theory and you're not like, you don't have any information about how you worked with your materials. And people will just pick up the frauds really quickly. And I think that will be something that, you know, maybe people will get good at.
Hey, but some of the
side.
best art comes from the outliers, you know, and especially in like the art world, the contemporary art world. These people like what's that guy's name? Jean-Michel Basquiat or something, Basquiat, whatever. Like he like had no traditional sort of training, and he just kind of was doing some crazy shit and turned out to just be like amazing.
That's true.
And so I think
very true.
it's
I
not.
think it's just like an evolution.
But then
at the
you can
moment. We're just
feel,
in
I
that
feel like you can
process
feel
of
the
evolution.
passion of like
Yes,
that
yeah,
person.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
meet them and you're like, this person is unique and they're passionate and they're excited and like there's an authenticity there that you can feel as palpable that maybe wouldn't be the case of someone who hadn't spent the time putting in like the sweat and like the tears into their creation.
And
I
the
But have
just
you
don't
seen the
take
guys
it
that
the
have
same.
used the AI arts, like the DALI stuff? And so in DALI, you start with your first like square, right? And you put in like your initial message. Because DALI now is open to everyone. Remember, when Thorne first used it, it was like it was just like an elite or whatever, like people who had a special code. Now it's like open to everyone. And so you start with your first square, and then when you start with your first square, it generates that and gives you your 4 tiles. Then you choose one of those tiles, and when you go into the edit mode, you then can just expand this whole fucking world around it. So then you go like the next tile, and you say like continue this, but make like the hand hold like a torch, and then the torch can then go to a sun that turns into the universe that turns into a world.
Oh, hectic.
And so that you watch like sped up versions of people that do it, and obviously they're sitting there for fucking days or hours or whatever it is, and they make these giant like murals that are just like these
I've seen those
insane
things.
things, and that's how they're doing it. Is they're just doing it square by square by square,
Wow.
and like
I haven't
going
tried
back and
DALI yet,
evolving and change. When you use DALI, actually it changes the whole thing into, it becomes much more of a creative adventure, because you could sit there and put in like a blue turtle, you know, sitting on its back drinking a milkshake or something, and that's going to spit out that thing. But I mean, the more creative and the more you get to learn the tool, you actually develop like an understanding of how it generates and how it like.
I noticed this.
It understands like your input.
If you don't use input in a educated way, you end up with bad results.
Yeah.
And I think that's one
you
thing
just end up
about
with this
AI.
like stupid shit.
It doesn't work very well. Like I've seen people like plug stuff in and it comes up with incredible results. And I'm like, what part of this language that they use is like the like precursor to the art was significant that made the AI generate in an interesting way to humans.
Yeah.
But anyway, AI.
Anyway,
like fuck it. We'll see what happens. But have you guys been? Did anyone else watch the World Cup? Because like I watched pretty much every game, even though a lot of them were at like 2 a.m., 6 a.m. random.
No, I literally didn't watch any because here it's
Joe, did
cold,
you watch
so
anything?
no one's going out. Normally, everyone's in the streets just going like woo and like,
But like
and
in
doing
Europe,
shit. But in Europe, no one gives a fuck at the moment. Everyone's just like it's.
I thought
it's
that about
dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah. In Spain
So
as
like
well. When I was
normally
in
it's in
Spain,
summer
like,
here.
the Argentinians were getting down. I was going to like my local bar,
yeah.
and it was Argentinian owned in Barcelona. And for the Argentina games, it was like full. But for the Spain games, even though it was in Barcelona, it was like empty. I would just go to the Spain games and be like, yeah, Spain, and like there would be no one else there. I'm like, I'm this Australian guy, like
Seriously,
in Spain.
so
like,
many people
yeah,
in Europe,
Spain.
it's just not happening. Normally, every little spetty in Berlin is like full of people
Well, Germany
drinking
got
beers.
knocked
And
out early, so
yeah, but
Yeah, true.
even like in the Euro Cup, like the UEFA or whatever it is, like it's just
But that
every
was
game
summer.
is
That was summer.
but that's what I'm saying. Normally, like
true.
these
It's a
games and
different
stuff are
vibe.
in summer for Europe, and so like the vibe is just like woo.
I was in
Man,
Italy
I
for that.
winter.
actually.
It's just-
I didn't watch much. I saw a couple of games, but I was like perishing a few days ago because I don't know what I got, but some crazy virus.
Yeah, what the hell happened?
It's probably like one of the worst things that's ever.
You said you were having migraine-induced hallucinations, is what I'll quote you saying.
That's hectic.
That's not.
Yeah, my heart rate was resting at like 130 BPM. I was just
No.
like, this is thought I was going to go into cardiac arrest or something. It was hectic. But yeah, and then I was just like, literally, the world just started like peeling away, and I was just like falling into like darkness. It was like, kind of felt like I was Gandalf, just like.
Did you have
fighting
someone
the
like helping
Balrogs,
you out,
falling
keeping
into
an
the
eye on you?
abyss. It was the middle of the night. Like I was like, I couldn't sleep, and then like the version of sleep that I got was like this full hallucination vibe. But yeah, I definitely have never experienced
UK Kush
such
dude.
a.
It's got the extra key.
Oh, just
No,
like some
but,
lace
London's
bar.
finest.
Is
man.
UK super grim
Is-
right now, though, for real? Is it like the
No, it was-
Is it cold and
It was. It's definitely like it snowed. It was definitely cold. But there's like everybody's sick right now. There's something. The newspapers are saying that everyone feels like they've got COVID, but they're testing negative for COVID. So I don't know, it's some other thing. But everyone
been a
apparently
bit
has
run
like
down.
the same symptoms that I've got, except for maybe the hallucinations.
weird?
Yeah, well, I think I'm going to cancel my trip
Berlin.
to
A lot
Japan.
of people are sick.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah.
go to Japan, right, Thorne?
I was
shit.
going to
That's a
try
good
go there
place to be.
tomorrow. I was going to fly to Tokyo for a few days, but I just like actually don't want to move around. And I think there's this whole thing raging in China, and I'm sure there's like some cross contamination between Japan and China. So you know, I
apparently
think there's, like,
10% of the world's population, they think, like which is 60% of China's population. They reckon that that's what the amount of people who are going to be infected over the next like 2 to 3 weeks.
What are we talking about?
So-
COVID again?
Yeah, some Chinese version of COVID.
Something's going
a
on.
strain.
yeah, it's like
Okay,
some.
well,
I think it's
some-
because
I don't
they
know.
locked down.
dude, is so
Dude, I
fucking out of
cannot.
control.
Man, I just can't
Man,
even
you
see
don't want to
Chinese
see
going
my
in.
eyes. Honestly, I'm still sick and I'm still recovering.
Yeah, fair
so
enough.
I just
Fair enough.
yeah,
Fair
just
enough.
a little bit self-conscious.
Did you just fucking smoke a?
Yeah, I've been hearing him slap
Bro,
them.
the mosquito popcorn in here, man. It's
Is that when they
and
hit the thing?
You
it
know what's
goes
actually
crack?
cool? Yeah, they just explode. But
Dude, that's
sometimes when they don't explode, they'll just drop to the floor, and then next thing I just see like this little army of ants just coming and just grabbing him, and they're probably so stoked, man, like barbecued mosquito, just like yum, and they just walk away, and then
it's like
just,
KFC for
disappear.
ants, dude.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Oh, it's pretty good. No, but real talk though, it's actually like really giving me super, super disturbed sleep. So we've ordered a mosquito net now. I just don't know why it's taken like this.
Yeah,
long to
dude.
get one.
It was the same in
It's gotta
Spain,
happen.
except they're so fast that you cannot fucking catch them. I don't know what it's like in Bali, because here in Australia, you can catch the mosquitoes. In the US, you can catch them. Most places in Europe, I feel like you can catch it, but in
Switzerland,
Spain,
for
they're
some
on
reason, you
they're
can't.
on like fucking.
Oh,
some
but are they the
serious-
grey ones?
I don't know. They're just so fast, and you cannot. I wake up in the
Like the
middle of the
tiger
night,
ones.
and like I'll fucking be running around the room trying to kill these things, and I just. It's so
Dude, you
rare.
need to
that
get one of
catch
those
them.
racket things that Thorne has.
Yeah, you really
Just
do. It's actually really
What's the
satisfying.
brand,
I
Thorne? Let's
dedicate
shout it
like
out.
15.
Let's shout it out, dude.
Balinese
3
one.
times.
The brand we got Crispo. And if you get the premium model, you even get a little torch on there. So I spend 15
Dude, is that
minutes
like
every night
infrared,
before
like,
I go to
homing
bed, just
signal
sitting there,
thing?
just bringing
Thorne's just
them in,
there with his night vision on, like fucking.
It's so.
Have you got night vision, Thorny?
No, I really don't. I need to get my eyes.
How much do you
lasered,
reckon
actually.
that is? I kind of want a pair now, and I'm thinking about it.
Are they even legal? Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah, you can definitely get.
So
I
random.
tried night vision goggles in New Zealand when I was still there. They're pretty ghetto. You think it's going to be like seeing like the nighttime in HD, but it's really weird. It's like certain things are really bright, and then other things are not. But you've pretty much just got like two colors. It's just like white and some
Man,
washed
So
out.
it mostly
pretty
shows
cheap.
like the heat sources, right? Or is that like? heat
Yeah, it's
vision or
something like this. It's kind of something like that.
Dude,
It's
you
a,
can get, like,
probably-
I was ordering some.
All right.
They're only-
Before,
they're only 80
before we go on too
pounds.
many more tangents,
80
are
pounds.
we feeling any new music right now? Like, has anyone got some new shit that they're really vibing at the moment? Anyone?
I don't have any new music, but I just need to give a shout out to the Native Instruments Reactor like plugin suite. I stumbled on this yesterday. I was just like farting around with some things and Reason, and I'm like, oh man, I wonder what this plugin is. And there's this crazy thing called like meta particles or some shit, and it's like a sound generator. And whoa,
Wow.
like
Yeah,
Okay.
whoa,
What's
If
it
we're
called
on the
again?
topic of
Something
synths, hang
particles?
on, I got to bring something over.
whoa. Actually,
Yeah, I
need to-
saw
I'll
that
just
thing,
try and
that
find the actual
particle.
name of it, just so I don't.
Yeah, what's it called?
Let me just pull it up here. Man, I really wish we could just like plug in and just play sounds into this podcast. That would be so dope.
Yeah, you can drop media in if you've got
Yeah, I
like
know.
stems. And
Have
all
you guys
that.
ever
This is
tried
just,
What the fuck is that, dude?
Indigo Access?
the fuck is it?
Some
Yeah, hold up.
a guy,
What
a
is
friend of
that?
actually Effie.
It looks pretty cool, hey?
It's
like
so good.
It's like a little bulldog, dude.
I'd
It's
never heard of it. It's like
Little chunk.
I don't know. I feel like it's like an early 2000s or like a 90s synth. But every patch on here, I don't know if it's because I'm running it through like the new Apollo sound card and everything just sounds great. But all of the patches on this Indigo Access are just creme de la creme. And I've never
Oh,
played
dude,
a
is
synth.
that-
Even
is-
the Korgs that I've never played it. All the patches are just so fucking good to play.
Is that like a sample based thing? It's not actually like analog engines in there. It's more like that.
No, it's one of the first. I could be wrong about this actually. It might be the other one I have here, but I'm pretty sure it's like one of the earlier digital analog hybrid synthesizers that came out that were really innovative for the time. Like the thing weighs like it's small, right? It's not a huge synth, but this weighs like I reckon this is like almost 15 kilos. It's solid. It's a solid boy.
That's scared.
Anyway, I'm just gonna shout out the
Chunky
Indigo
monkey.
Access.
I'm just digging here for this. Where the hell is the instrument?
I mean, music-wise,
instrument?
to be honest, I've been focusing so much on other things that I haven't really been like looking for new artists. But the latest,
Well, what I wanna
vibe that
do,
I've been
guys-
cranking.
Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
I was just gonna say the latest vibe that's got me real high is that jungle track, "Good Times." You know,
Oh, yeah,
have
that's
you
a
guys
good
heard that one? It's like relatively new. It's good time. Yeah, so it kind of reminds me of Marvin Gaye. No, not Marvin Gaye. What's Miles? Is it Miles Davis?
I think
Move On Up.
Marvin Gaye.
Move on.
Oh. Yeah, that is Marvin Gaye. No, I could be so wrong.
And it's got like the
Hang on.
violins that come and go.
I'm gonna do
I reckon they definitely used that as a reference track. Like it's the same universe. But
Yeah.
I thought it was sick seeing Jungle
Curtis Mayfield.
evolving.
Curtis Mayfield.
Curtis Mayfield.
Curtis.
Sorry,
Yeah.
guys, for all the Curtis
My
Mayfield
bad.
fans out there. We just Marvin Gaye.
Man, I've just been rinsing that the Foals album. Like,
Haven't
and
listened
it's
to the
not
new
even
Foals
that
album.
new. It's probably like I'm probably gonna
like 6
fuck
months
this
old,
up
right?
As well. Yeah, maybe between 4 to 6 months, and I just somehow fully went under my radar.
Yeah,
And
I think it kind of
I've
disappeared.
always loved Foals.
Yeah.
But dude,
Yeah.
it fucking slaps, dude. Like
Yeah,
it's
right.
got some really. They're just like one of those bands who's just been like bringing out albums one like after another that just
They're
consistently
crazy.
kind of
They're super
stays
consistent
in their
that's the
sound.
thing. Yeah.
They are
Like in their
super
sound, but then
consistent.
they always add a little bit extra. Like they
Yeah.
evolve just enough
Yeah.
to keep you like hooked
Interested.
and excited, but not far enough outside their field that you're like, what the fuck just happened? Sort of, you know what I mean? There's some tracks in there that like kind of, go into their sort of like funky stuff that they were doing earlier on, but then still doing some of their rock stuff from like the new shit. It's fucking dope, man. I love the album. I've been
Nice,
been
nice,
absolutely
nice. Well, I think we should make a playlist.
punishing it.
I think we already have a playlist, but I think for the listeners who are interested in stuff that we talk about on the podcast, I'd like to make a new playlist, a more recent one.
Yeah, make that podcast
of
playlist. Would be great.
all the stuff that we like, and all the stuff
Probably
that
we should
talk
also
about
share
on here.
links. Yeah, like links and shit to things that we were talking about as well. Just so anyone can actually go back and just look at things. Like I'm not even sure if people here have used ChatGPT and stuff like that. But
Well,
Yeah, a lot of people
on the
won't know what
YouTube-
that is even.
On the YouTube version of this, we can also include like the Spotify link
show
for
notes.
our playlist, show notes, like ChatGPT, etc., or any sort of like brands or plugins that we talk about. We can put them in there as well. So I guess moving forward, when we start to structure it more, we'll just like take sort of minutes or notes for like key links that we want to add to the YouTube
Yeah.
stuff.
We can
I
also-
always add them later as well when I do the uploads.
We could also make a.
let's put a
landing
beacon out for a
page.
Jamie. We need a Jamie on the podcast.
We need a Jamie.
Oh, like a fact
Let's do
checker.
that.
Actually
Although there's
been
4 of us.
enjoying-
Come on.
There's already 4 of us,
There's
dude.
actually 4 of us. Yeah.
I've been liking
Do you mean
that
fact checking?
Genesis Owusu's
No, not
track.
like fact check.
Oh,
so much just like
which
someone
one?
to kind of assist with.
Is it? Do
Do you remember we shot with him once on a magazine shoot? Yeah, I think
Yeah,
also
that's right.
John O'Mar worked on it. I think John O'Mar's been working on a lot of his stuff, but
Sick.
or the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
project potentially. But yeah, get inspired by Genesis Owusu. It's kind of like a mix of punk meets like kind of like rap meets electronic. It's really quite cool.
Well, he's been
But
killing
I
it
think,
lately, hasn't he?
I think he's been getting a lot of attention because it is a unique project, and I think if
Deservedly, I
there's
guess.
been one track that stood out to me, like particularly besides like I've been just listening to classical piano a lot, but if there's a lot like if there's a track that stood out to me like from production standpoint, from a uniqueness standpoint over the last like 2 months, I think that would be the track that stood out. And there's so much stuff that I've been really loving, but if I would to give a shout out to a track, it would be probably that one, I would say.
Nice.
Sick.
Oh, yeah. I've just been going way back in time. Hey, I've just been listening to all the classics.
You
Yeah,
still on your
it's old school
Radiohead
Thorne.
grind, Thorne?
Not even so much like Radiohead. Like I'll just like Dowd
I
and
love
stuff
Radiohead.
like this, where it's just like
Okay.
I'm going on to like
Old
Dowd,
housey
just, like,
vibes.
jamming, because I need things that are not lyrical, because I'm just doing so much work on the computer. I'm like even like making a foray into the world of coding with Rust, which is like breaking my brain. But yeah, like if there's anything like lyrical or any spoken word, it just totally throws me off. But if it's just, some housey kind of like down tempo, whatever, it just keeps me rocking along. Also, Weevil, actually, I'm like really stoked on some of the stuff Weevil have put out. I reckon they've got like a super.
Did they put
super
it out
awesome
anything
sound as
new
well.
since that last EP or album that came
No,
out?
I think it's just pretty much that EP. But I just really love how they actually are just mixing live drums with like a super synth heavy sound, and then also the way they're processing their vocals and everything. I think it's just like super well done. So shout out to Weevil.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
tasteful.
Big fan.
Yeah, well, I guess
Oh.
we're past the hour mark, which is fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get my hair cut.
Yeah. Well,
Dude,
Get
I've
in
got
it,
this
I probably should do the
fucking mullet,
same.
bro. It's next level.
I'm not even going to show my rig right now.
Don't show up to a hairdresser like that. That's for sure. Just like
Well,
dead
With
for
your
the
headphones on at Sonny's.
They'll be like, man, this guy's about to
How do I
rob the
cut this?
place. What's going on? So
Yeah,
good.
pretty much.
Yeah, no, I need to get a bit of a
But,
trim too.
But
That's all happening.
yeah,
Well,
I
that's
guess-
very good. Merry Christmas, everyone. as
Hopefully
well.
we can get this
Christmas
one out
season,
before Christmas.
Season's
New
greetings.
Ambitious,
Totally.
perhaps. See how you go
Yeah.
with the editing.
Could be ambitious,
Shawnee.
but make sure this one should be better. We've had less dropouts, so it should just be. The only
Should
thing
be
is,
smoother.
what slows it down is because there's 4 of us, and I need to download each individual video because, actually no, I don't. That's a lie. I need to download each individual audio.
track.
And then sync it to the video because if I download all of us into one file with the audio and stuff, it just sounds shit. So
Yeah, it's crazy noise floor.
know.
Hey.
Well,
We'll
look,
be
we're going
back
to
in
work
the new year,
through.
though. Basically.
Yeah, exactly.
We only
I
got
think
a week
the-
left.
but I'm on the train tomorrow for like 6 hours or 5 hours or something like that. So I'll just I'll try to smash it out. As long
Yeah,
as you
well-
guys just keep all your things up and we'll go.
Yeah, ultimately, we just want to say Merry Christmas. Thanks for joining us, for our last podcast of the year. In 2023, we're going to bring a whole new energy. Like we said, we're going to make our new record. We're going to, we've got a whole bunch of stuff in the works. Like, we're not sure what to call it yet, but the Tora Academy will be an extension of the Tora Podcast, and we want to really bring you guys into our world and create a community and get on that wave, like a rebirth of the music industry, like empowering you guys and not just creators but also listeners to be more involved in our process and each other's process so that we can create the best shit that's ever been made, like with the next generation of artists that are being born right now. So yeah, it's an exciting time for us, and we feel that 2023 is going to be a year for us to connect with you all a lot more. So yeah, thanks for joining us on the Tora Podcast.
100%. And I think we're
Thank you,
trying to
guys.
do these podcasts more often. We're like over a month now since the last one. I still think we should try and do one every 2 weeks, but we see how
Yeah.
this goes.
Let's give it a go.
I'm sure we can do that. I think that our timing kind of like our time zones are fucking with us a little bit, but we'll get there. But yeah, thank you guys, and it's always good to catch up. And
All right, sounds good. Much
Merry
love, boys.
Christmas,
Much
Happy
love
New
to everyone.
Year.
Love.
Enjoy, guys.
Enjoy the
Yeah.
transition into
Ciao.
2023.